Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how you can add joints to a machine to make it functional in Unity. So currently I have this environment and this is the machine, or you can say a robot, that we're going to work on. It's a simple robot. Before adding joints and making it functional, let's see what this machine can do. Let's check out what are the functions of this machine so we can add joints according to those functions. So first of all, as you can see, this robot has four parts, four wheels, two on the right side, two on the left side, which are going to be used to make this machine move forward and backward. The second part are these sweepers. These five rings on the back side, these are sweepers. What are they going to do? They are going to rotate and they are going to drag this ring inside this robot on this platform. Obviously that's not part of the video. The main part is how we can add joints and make these parts move or rotate, and the last part are these two big wheels which are going to throw this ring outside of this robot. So this is the this is the robot that we're going to work on, and let's start adding joints. So first of all, let's start with the four wheels. Now this is the game object that contains the four wheels. Let me show you how these wheels are assembled. Let's start on the back right wheel. This wheel consists of three parts. All of them consist of three parts, and this is really simple. The first part is a rod, which will be used to connect this wheel to the machine. The second part is the rim, which is connected to the rod, and the last part is the wheel itself. So we have three parts: the wheel, the rim, and the rod. All of these are used to connect the wheel to the machine. So first of all, let's start with this wheel. What we are going to do, we are going to rotate this rim, and this rim will in result rotate the wheel, which is child of the rim. So we are going to rotate the parent, which in result is going to rotate the child. Now we can rotate this wheel on its own, but I think the best way to rotate the wheel is to rotate the rim. This will give more real life rotation, or you can say real life function or movement to the robot. So for rotating this rim, it's pretty simple. We are going to add a joint which will rotate this rim on its own. Now there are multiple joints in Unity which we can use, but the best joint to use for the movement of robots or machines is the hinge joint. So we are going to add a hinge joint on the rim. Now this hinge joint will automatically add a rigid body, because for adding joints on a game object in Unity, rigid body is compulsory. So this is the hinge joint that we have added on the rim. Now this contains many attributes. Now first of all, it contains a connected body, which means that from which body we are going to connect the rim itself. So currently we are going to leave it empty because we are going to make it independent. We are not going to connect the rim to anything. So the second main part is the motor. Now how we are going to rotate the rim? uh, the rim is going to be rotated by using this attribute which is called use motor. We're going to check it, we're going to tick it, so it will tell the hinge joint that this part is going to use this property, and we are going to add some target velocity and some force which is going to use to rotate the rim. Now velocity is, you can say that target velocity means that the maximum velocity that this rim will achieve is 200, and the force is that how much force is going to be applied on this rim to make it achieve this target velocity. Now as I will play this scene, the wheel will not rotate in the proper direction that we want. And why is that? Let's go to the scene window. The wheel the rim is going to be rotated in this direction, which we don't want. And why is that happening? That is happening because currently we have, by default, the axis that is true is x-axis. Currently this wheel is rotating on its x-axis, which we do not want. What we want is to rotate this wheel on the z-axis. This blue line, this is the z-axis, and we want the rotation on this axis. So how can we do that? What we are going to do, we are going to tell this hinge joint that this axis, this x-axis should be 0, the rotation should be not on this axis, and the rotation should be on the z-axis. So we'll make this z-axis 1. And now when we play the scene, the wheel is going to be rotated on its proper z-axis. As you can see, the rim is rotating on the z-axis, but currently it's going up and down. It's not rotating perfectly on its pivot, it's going up and down. And why is that? Because as I said before, when we add a hinge joint, it will automatically add a rigid body to the joint, and this rigid body is using gravity. So there, and that's why gravity is affecting its position. Now there are two things that you can do. You can either check this use gravity box which was checked, you can uncheck this, and when you'll play the scene, it will still rotate on its axis. So the best part to achieve the movement perfectly on the pivot is to freeze the positions. You can just freeze the position. What it does, it tells the game object that you cannot move in the x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. You can only rotate in the x, y and z axis. So as we'll freeze the position, now you can see that the wheel is perfectly rotating on its pivot. Now it's rotating backwards. We want its rotation to be forward. So that is pretty simple. You have given z-axis a rotation of 1. Just give it a rotation of -1 and it will change the direction of the rotation. Now you can see it's moving forward on its z-axis. So this is the way you can add a joint to a body part of a machine, and you can give it rotation as you want. So it's pretty simple. Now we are going to repeat the same steps for the rest of the wheels. Just select the rim. You don't need to do anything complex or confusing. Just select the rim, add the joint, restrict its position so it doesn't go upside downwards, give it a rotation on the z-axis, and finally use motor and give it a velocity on which it will rotate. Simple as that. And when you play the scene, you can see that this is also moving in that same direction. So this is the same thing we are going to repeat with the two wheels on the left side. Just select the rim, add the joint, restrict the position. It should not go upside downwards or sideways. Give it a rotation and give it velocity. And when you play the scene, it will rotate in the same direction as these one. Now as you can see, you might have noticed that I have given it a direction of 1, whereas I've given them a direction of -1. That's because of the rotation of the wheel, how the wheel itself is rotated. As you can see, this wheel, this rim's z-axis is on the left side, and this rim's z-axis is on the right side. So it's just the rotation is just given on the basis of their z-axis. It's not something complex. You can just check the z-axis, or you can play with this value and see in which direction you want the rotation to be. So same step with the final wheel. Just add the joint, freeze its position, give it a rotation on the z-axis, use motor and give it a final velocity. So this is Really simple. Just select the joint you want the rotation to be, where you want the rotation to be. Just select those joints and add a joint, hinge joint, and give it a rotation. So it's pretty simple. Now as you can see, all of our wheels are moving. Now let's move to the next part, which is the sweeper, the back five wheels. So you need to repeat the same method for this sweeper as well. Now as you can see, there are five wheels or sweepers here on the back side. Now you do not need to add five separate joints on the wheels, because what we're going to do is that all of these sweepers are going to rotate with the same speed and at the same time. So you do not need to add joints separately on all five of them. What we're going to do is, as you can see, these are the five sweepers and these are the child of this one game object sweeper. And this game object is this game object is here at the center of the middle sweeper. So when you rotate this game object, it will automatically rotate its child, which are the five sweepers. So you do not need to give joints to five separate sweepers. Just add a joint to the parent in joint, the same way that we did with the wheels. Freeze its positions, use motor, and give it a velocity. But this time, as you can see, this time the rotation will be on the x-axis. As you can see this red line, when I'll select it and I'll drag it, it rotates on the x-axis. This time the rotation will not be on the z-axis, which will make the rotation pretty bad. We are going to rotate this time on the x-axis. So automatically by default the rotation is on the x-axis, and the z-axis and the y-axis are one. So when you play the scene, let's go to the scene window, and when you'll see this rotation is on the x-axis. Now if you want to rotate it clockwise or anti-clockwise, it's your choice. If you want to rotate it on the in the opposite direction, just give it a rotation of -1 and it will rotate on the opposite direction. Now the final part is the big wheels on the front side, which are going to throw the ring outside. So what you're going to do with them is obviously the same way, nothing complex or difficult. This is the wheel and this is its motor. Currently they are separate. Now to make this wheel child of this motor, just select it and drag it and throw it inside this motor. Leave it inside this motor. Now when you rotate the motor, the wheel will rotate automatically. See, now when you rotate the motor, the wheel will rotate automatically. You don't need to rotate the wheel. We're going to rotate it using the motor, which should be the right way for a machine to work. We give it rotation on a motor, and whatever we add on the motor, that thing rotates automatically. So the same way as we did for the wheels and the sweeper, we're going to add a hinge joint. We're going to freeze its position, and this time, as you can see, on which axis we are going to add the direction rotation, we are going to add the rotation on the x-axis, oh z-axis, sorry, I'm sorry, we are going to rotation on this blue line, which is the z-axis, not the x-axis. X-axis will make it rotate like this. We will going to make the rotation on the z-axis. So make the z-axis 1 and x-axis 0 and give it a rotation on z-axis. Now when you play the scene, go to the scene window, and as you can see, it is rotating on the z-axis, but it is rotating inward. What we want is when the ring will come at this position, it will throw the ring outside. So we want the rotation in the opposite direction. So what you can do is just where is it, motor 1, yeah, just give it a rotation on -1 and it will throw the ring outside. Let's go to the scene and it will throw the ring this time outside. Now same thing with this one. the last part of the machine. This is the wheel. Let's drag and drop it inside the motor. Similarly, we're going to give it a rotation on the z-axis. Add the joint, freeze the positions, give it a rotation on the z-axis, and its rotation will be in the opposite direction of this rotation, so that they both will work in throwing the ring outside. As you can see, this is working perfectly. So this is the way how you can add joints to a machine and make it rotate as you want. So it's pretty simple, nothing complex. Just select the parts on which you want the rotation, add a joint, and the joint will handle the rest. Cool.